Hey, Broker Nation, Scott Beckford here. Today on I Love Mortgage Brokering Live, I have Julie Jeffery. Julie was on the show with me in the past, and if you've ever met Julie, she has an incredibly magnetic personality, very positive, and we decided to talk about mindset, because if you want to be a successful mortgage professional, you do need to have a good mindset. And so we talk about her 4 sort of pillars of building a good mindset. I think you're really going to dig this episode. Also, if you're trying to figure out how to scale your mortgage business, we've created a program called the $25 Million Blueprint, where we take all the best ideas, strategies, and concepts from 200 plus interviews and put them into a program that you can use to scale your business today. Check out ilovemortgagebrokering.com/blueprint to book a call to find out if this program is right for you, and check out this interview with Julie. I think it's going to be a great one. Hey, welcome to I Love Mortgage Brokering Live. Today on the show, I have Julie Jeffery, who's been on the show with me in the past, and she also was one of the few people that was a speaker at Broker Talks, and she killed it. And so today, I'm going to have her on the show talking about mindset. Before I talk about to Julie, I want to just give a shout out to our sponsor. So Pioneer West is a private lender in BC and Alberta, and Stiles Stewart and the guys there have supported us for a long time, been huge supporters of what we're doing. So if you have a private deal, please reach out to Stiles and say, hey, man, I'd love to chat with you. We would appreciate it. I know he would appreciate it. And it lets us create this stuff for you guys. So, Julie, welcome to the show.
Hey, Scott. How are you doing?
Great. So, hey, every time I talk to you, and when you spoke at Broker Talks, you had so much energy and passion. I was like, oh my gosh, if I could just bottle that. And so I reconnected with you. I'm like, I want to get you back on. And we said, what topic would be good? And mindset was the one that came up. So why don't you just give a little intro if somebody doesn't know who you are, and then we'll get into talking about mindset.
Absolutely. So I came to the broker channel about 4 years ago now. I was a Royal Bank mortgage specialist. I worked with my husband, Andy, who is now my business partner. And we left that model and came to this side, and it's been absolutely amazing. So really 4 years ago, we've now been running our own brokerage and have our own team for the last 3 years in Calgary. And yeah, so far so good. We're having a blast.
And what is your team's, so your own personal production, what do you have for, like, there's you and Andy. So what do you guys do different roles, or you do the same role? Like, what does that structure look like? I'm always curious about, how people structure their businesses.
Yeah. So you know what, last year was a long year. Alberta is still struggling. Our economy is not great. And we actually had a good year though. We had an amazing December. We actually had the best December of our careers. And not just the best December of our careers, we had the best month of our careers. And we've gone through some pretty wow times in Alberta. So December was one of those awesome months, but we got to the end of it, totally exhausted, kind of, overdid it in terms of just too much going on. And we met with our coach, and we kind of then did some role division. So when you ask for roles, it's interesting because we really divided out our roles for Andy and I. Mm-hmm. We have a full-time client care manager. Rena, she's amazing, and she's with us every day, all day long, working all the paper at all times. She's fantastic. And we have 4 agents as well on our team right now.
Okay. So, and then do you and Andy both do the exact same thing for, like, do you guys both take in leads, or do you guys have a different role that you do?
We both take in leads, and we both look after our own clients. So one of the things we've never done was we never mix and match clients. We really believe that the referral source picks us. And sometimes the referral source knows both of us, but they pick the person that's the best fit for their client. Mm-hmm. So we really try not to move leads back and forth. If we get a lead, we take it on, we run with it ourselves. He does probably, he does more 75% of our volume, and I do about 25, because I'm also managing the brokerage and our agent team, and I'm sort of the systems person, junkie, some people would say. Yeah. Obsessed with systems and structure.
Django, Julie, I think I've heard people maybe refer to that before. You still use Django?
Oh, I am a raving fan. I'm a power user.
What does that mean? Power user?
Django did a little cartoon about the system, and they made me into a cartoon character.
That's awesome. Well, that's cool. Okay, so let's talk about mindset. And so you had these 4 pillars, and I'll put in my 2 bits as well, because I think mindset I think when it comes to our profession, sales in general, it's 80% mindset. Like, if you have the wrong mindset, bad thinking, it doesn't matter what words you say. It doesn't matter. You were going to have a tough time getting a good result. And so I'm obsessed. I get a coach who does mindset coaching with me. So I'm just curious. Okay, let's talk about what are your first of the 4 pillars. What is that for a good mindset?
Yeah, I actually think you're right. It's at least 80%. It's everything. It's the difference between just, yeah, happy life, happy work, and really achieving all your goals. So my first pillar, I think, is about balance. And so I think if you come into work or life and you're lacking balance, and that's many different things, but if you're lacking balance, I just don't think you can achieve what you're going to set out to achieve. So in terms of balance, I always think of that it's work in life, but it's health, it's happiness, it's friend time, family time, but it's also, number of hours into your business. So if any of those things are out of whack and those things aren't working for you, if there's an imbalance in life in anything, I think it's incredibly hard to achieve
Right.
the
So
goals that you have.
how do you maintain balance then? So that's like I agree with you in terms of this idea that you have to have it. But so what kind of things are you doing to ensure A, you're maintaining it, and B, how do you check yourself, before you wreck yourself? Because I find
Right,
sometimes I get like so going in one direction. I'm like, I look back and holy crap, I kind of
right.
forgot. So what are you doing there?
See, I think the biggest thing that we've done, it goes back to the systems and the structure. So how could you have balance in a job like this if you don't know exactly what your client experience is, right? You talk about that all the time. We
Hmm.
know exactly what our client experience is. It has, I think right now we're about 37 points in our client experience. So the way that we make work and life happen, because we are married, we are in a partnership, and we have two kids who are 11 and 13, and we have a big life outside of mortgages that we love, is we stick to those structures. And what I've learned in the last year is when we deviate from our systems and our structures, it causes chaos. And sometimes clients or referral sources or partners will ask us to deviate. And I've learned that we cannot do that. We have a path. This is how we do the work, and we need to really, really stick to that. When we don't, it goes sideways.
Right. I agree.
So that's one thing.
That's okay. What other things?
We have a coach. So we don't, she's not particularly a sales coach. She's more of an admin team coach. So she was the coach for 12 years for one of the biggest realty teams in the city. She coached that realtor's admin team. And because there's two of us in this partnership, and because we're married, and because we have a full-time client care manager, I really felt like we needed some coaching around communication, around whose role is what and how and when and why and how we measure all those things. And so she's really sort of taken apart our business and is helping us put it back together, and honestly bringing up some really hard topics between the three of us as we work on our team, Andy, Rena, and I. And in the first session was tough. It was tough, and we really had to dig deep and go, what are our jobs? Who's doing really great at this one? Who's kind of falling behind on this one? And we've now really streamlined that, and we've given Rena, who's our client care manager, we're just giving her way more power to make decisions,
Hmm.
because I'm a control freak, and I had to accept that I need to stop doing that.
Right. You have to. I say this to Jules all the time. You have to let go to grow. Like it's just
You
you,
have to.
you can't grow your business if you're like in every little detail. You're just gonna you're gonna smother your team, or you're gonna burn yourself out. And so I think that's really good. So I agree with you on the idea of staying with the structure. So one of the things I always say is like you are the professional. You're driving the bus, and the client tells you where they want to go, but you have to drive. And when you let them drive, which they're like, oh, don't worry, I'll get you my documents when I want to. I'll do this. I'll write an offer without being properly organized. That's them driving. And when they crash, they're going to blame you anyway. Like at the end of the day, it's still your reputation. The real referral partners are not going to care. They're going to be like, yeah, but I thought you were the pro. So you have to I've had to let people off my bus, like at the next stop, like literally first phone call. And I'm like, this person does not want to follow my process. I'm like, ding, you can get off the bus. Thank you. And the times that I didn't do that and I let them drive and it crashed, I still were the biggest, most stressful, situations that I had. So I agree with you that you have to have a process and then follow it. So how do you balance kids and the demands and both of you working full time? Do you guys have what kind of support structures do you have in place? Because sometimes people forget about, okay, do we have a cleaner? Do we have what kind of things are you doing to make so that your life doesn't, consume you outside of all the other things you're doing?
Yeah, I had a great conversation the other day with Christine Bauman, and we spent an hour going through this. And I'm not going to clean my house. I don't have a lot of interest in going to get groceries. I don't clean my own car. So we basically, I love what I do, and I love the business, and I love the industry. And I want to give my time to either I want to be working on my business, or I want to be hanging out with my kids. and my husband and my family and having fun. And so I look at it like if I can offload all those other duties, I mean, honestly, almost all of them. We just went to weekly cleaning, for example, not every second week. I always say if I could get a nanny to look after me, I would. Like I
Right.
want a nanny, right? I want somebody who's like, literally laying out my clothes for me in the morning. I mean, that's not going to happen. I need to really grow my volume. But if I did
You'll know if
hit my
somebody following you
targets,
around.
I'd
Yeah.
like get a nanny.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, we have had a cleaner for a long time, and I know it's kind of a funny thing to talk about in a mortgage podcast, but if you once you get over a certain income level, you should hire a cleaner. Like it's time that you could spend with your family, and what you make per hour versus like the difference is so big that it doesn't make sense sometimes. And so we had somebody who cut our lawn all summer this last summer, which was fantastic, and have a cleaner that comes in every week. And I agree with you. That's time that you can, and our cleaner does laundry and stuff too. So that's like, that's helpful, but I agree. I think that you doing those kind of things preserves some downtime for you and your family and your kids. And it's brilliant. So you just started that, or is this a new thing? Is this
We did. And do you know what though? I think it's really challenging for the women in our industry. More so, and in this specific area. So in almost all other areas, I think we're absolutely equal, men and women in our industry. But in this area, which is offloading sort of those household or sort of quote unquote traditional mom roles, laundry, packing lunches, cleaning the house, all that stuff. I think it's really, I'm hearing that from a lot of the women in our industry. And it's a conversation, though, that they have to have with their spouse, and they just have to get their spouse on board. And some people are just so hesitant about spending the money, but they're burning the candle at both ends, and they're working so hard on mortgages, and they're working so hard at home, and then they're frustrated they're not achieving
right.
what some of their counterparts are achieving. So I really am encouraging of anybody, but particularly the women in our industry, to offload any duties in life you don't love. If you love cleaning your house, oh my gosh, clean it. If you love laundry, do it. That's cool. But if you're not loving it and it's not fulfilling and making you happy, then do the mortgage stuff and
Right.
family stuff.
Go write another loan and pay for them for the next like however many months, right? And
That's right.
I think I agree with you in terms of like actually I think that women are superior at a lot of things, in particular like keeping track of multiple things and multitasking. Like I'm a unitasker. I so easily get distracted. My wife could be doing cooking and doing this and open heart surgery and 5 other things all at once in the kitchen, and she'll hear it, and I'll be like, I don't even ask me to cut up peppers, and that's it. That's all I can do, or I'll cut off my thumbs. So I think that women just are, not I'm generalizing here, but I think that they're very skilled at our industry. But I agree, there's this supermom syndrome that's kind of like, okay, I can do both. I can be the supermom and I can be the super, and it's like, you know what, like, I think, and I'm not a woman, but I know that I think that invest in your business, but also invest in things that are going to give you time with your family or downtime or recharge time. And it's very worth it. We've had a cleaner for years, and my wife is like, it's a marriage. She calls it a marriage saver, because otherwise I'm sure she would have murdered me. Like I'm sure like a long time ago. So it was like an investment in our relationship. So I don't know how we got onto that topic, but that's very random. Okay. So, balance. So I agree with you on the balancing. So what's the next pillar that you have for mindset?
So it's gratitude. And I think it's lacking. And I think it's my 2018 word that I just think about every day. It's a thing I think about as soon as I wake up. It's like literally my last thought at night. And it's gratitude. And I'm seeing, I think I'm probably known in the industry as a person who says thank you a lot. Like, and people are always like, wow, you're always sending like a really lovely email or thank you card, or you call me. And for our lenders, especially our lender partners, I'm just trying to say it as much as I can in as many ways as I can. And I think that for our industry, people get so frustrated, and I find it really challenging, because we have all this choice. We have endless choice. When I worked at the Royal Bank, I had one brand, right? I had one set of products. I had one set of interest rates. We have so many options and so much choice. And so when I'm seeing frustration with our lender partners, or even just overall frustration with our industry, I just think our industry is in its infancy. We have so far to go. And every day I'm just so grateful to be here. I mean, maybe that's because I came from the dark side. I'm not sure. And now I'm in the light, but
yeah. True.
I'm just so
you were a Sith Lord. You were a Sith Lord, and now you're a Jedi. Like, I'm just kidding. I'm a Star Wars fan, so I'm just joking.
So gratitude. I think it can change your day, your week, your month, your year, whether that's again for your family or your friends or your team or your your coworkers or your lender partners or your industry partners, your referral partners, it has to be genuine. It has to be meaningful. But I think
so how do you cultivate it?
that's a focus.
So how do you cultivate an attitude of gratitude? There's a couple of things that I do, but I want to hear what you do first. So what, like, how do you keep that? Because like you can get, there's a lot of negative news out there. Sometimes even in our Facebook group, unfortunately, sometimes people go off on like a negative tangent. And so how do you cultivate an attitude of gratitude?
The biggest thing that I've been doing, well, there's a couple books that I love that last year I read that really got me onto this sort of mindset change. I don't know if you've read The Obstacle is the Way or The Ego is the Enemy.
Both of them are great.
Yeah, I just like, these are my top books of all times. And I read them both last year. The Daily Stoic is by the same author. So the Daily Stoic is essentially a quote about Stoicism and then his interpretation of how to, put that into your life. And so much about Stoicism is just about being real, honest, grateful, and just letting your ego go and letting your ego go and being grateful kind of really go together for me. Like, it's just, so those books really help. I read the Daily Stoic every morning. That's kind of my 10 minutes with my coffee. I read my daily quote and just think about how I want to incorporate that into my day. The other big thing that I do is as soon as I see negativity, and you'll see me jump into some of those podcasts or into the posts. So if I see a post that is kind of negative and there's just like the sense of frustration, I'll often jump in and just try to add some positives or try to add something we should be grateful for. Or often, honestly, I'll send the person a messenger or an email and saying, hey, you sound super frustrated. I totally get it. Like I'm on my phone. Give me a shout. I'll give you 5 minutes. And that's just like, you just need to offload. Mm-hmm. But that's kind of not the forum, right? You just need to do it in a private way.
Right.
So I think just seeing negativity and responding to it with positivity and trying to remind people there's so many things to be grateful for.
Right. And whenever you meet somebody who's very has your personality with that gratitude, it is very like it's like a magnet in terms of, I guarantee you it's a magnet for your clients who want to work with you. It's a magnet for we all want to be around people that have that positive, grateful attitude. One of the things that I do, so this is my own practice, because I agree, it's something I've been working on, is before I get up in the morning, I always think of 3 things I'm grateful for before I let my feet hit the floor. And it might be just, I'm grateful that I didn't wake up last night. I had a great sleep, or it could be whatever. But the point is that I'm priming my mind to look to be grateful instead of to look to be, grumbling and complaining. And it's changed my whole perspective and outlook. And so I think that, and reading the right type of books, like you said, these books are awesome that you talked about. I've only read I read 2 of the 3 that you mentioned, but not the Daily Stoic. That's really good. Any other things that you do to cultivate an attitude of gratitude?
I try my best on Fridays. I actually try to do a couple of things on Fridays. I really try to only work until about 1 o'clock. And then Andy and I on Fridays, we generally do a lunch together where we sort of go back and talk about our week. And we really focus on the good things. So we, bad things happen and challenging things, but we really try to focus on what were the good parts about our week. And then we often meet up with friends or referral partners or industry friends on Friday afternoons. And and I know I'm very social, right? I know that I'm not, other people are not as social. I am super social. And for me, that end of day Friday where I'm thinking about the happy things, the good things and the successes, and where I know I'm looking forward to meeting with other people who I'm working with to celebrate that. Last Friday was an agent on our team and we just had this great hour-and-a-half conversation around all the good stuff that happened. Yeah, we could have focused on the deals we lost or, the things that went wrong. We didn't. Mm-hmm. And so those Fridays, I also try my best to send one text and one email every Friday to somebody who's not expecting it. And that email or text is simply about, hey, this thing happened. I thought of you, or you did something amazing for me. And I just want to say thank you.
Wow, that's a really good. Yeah, because I've seen. That's really good. I love that. One of the things that I've found work really well for me, since we're sharing these things, is that sometimes at night, like my brain won't shut off because I've got different things that I'm involved in, and so what I started doing, my coach told me to basically think of 100 things you're grateful for, and so I'll lay there in bed and I'll be like, I'm grateful for a warm bed, and you just start. You won't get to 100. You'll fall asleep. Like I don't think I've ever got to 100, but it's so cool to think about. We live in North America. We live in Canada, we live in BC. Well, you guys, Alberta second best, but I'm just kidding. But the idea is that there's a lot of things we can be grateful for, but we can also have an attitude of negativity. Like my daughter right now, she's going through she's got mono. And so she'd been really sick and we really didn't catch on. And finally they gave her some penicillin, and I'm seeing it work, and I'm like, I'm so grateful that I don't. If 100 years ago she may have died from this, right? Like she may have gotten so sick that she would just die from it. But we live in a time where something like we just take it for granted. We just go get this thing and we give it to them, and like, oh, she's starting to recover, And so I agree with you. We've got to cultivate a attitude of gratitude, especially when things don't go right and we kind of get kicked in the head. So I love that you do that. So what's
and I mean, how many times have you met somebody, and I don't know, I'm like a very sensitive person in a way that honestly, you give me a minute with somebody and I could tell you a lot about them, right? It's maybe because I've done this job for so long. In my past work, I was a social worker. Now I'm a mortgage broker, and it's just all about people, and I love people. And it's like, you can just feel it if somebody's negative. And you're right, you just don't want to be around them. And so why would our clients want to? Why would our referral partners want to? Right?
That's really good. Okay. So what's pillar number 3?
Connection. I think we're all lacking it. And real, meaningful, true connection, and connections that make you better. So whether that's in your personal life or your business life, or in a sport you play, or with your kids or your family or your friends, I'm sort of obsessed with this idea of you're sort of the sum of the 5 people you hang out with the most. I think that's brilliant. I heard that last year and it just blew my mind. And I think that's absolutely true. And I think that sometimes people are a little too focused, for me, maybe on social media or on just sending emails or something that's less personal. And for me, I still meet every single client in person, whether that's at pre-approval. I prefer to meet them at pre-approval. I spend about 45 minutes right now. So I know there's people who are down to like 10 minutes a file. If I spend 45 minutes with a client, that is a client for life. And that is a client that will send me, 2 to 4 more clients. There's just an absolute, because they know me. I get to tell them a little bit about me. So for business, I think that real connections, and again, this goes back to connects with the gratitude, where I'm not calling my BDMs just to complain. I'm calling them to say, hey, I'd love to treat you to lunch. I'd love to get together and, share some ideas just about the industry, or I'll say, how's your day going? So I think that just deep connections that aren't surface level has been one reason that we are successful. Andy's very much like this. He's so personable, and it's all real. And he went to a movie the other night. It was like the concert for George. It's like a Beatles concert, and they were showing it in a movie theater. And he came home and he's like, what's funny? He's like, I was there with 8 people. I'm like, yeah. He's like, and it could have kind of been an industry event because he was for all people I work with, right? But it wasn't intentional.
Right.
He didn't have a work event. He just went out to this really cool thing and invited 8 people that he's friends with. They all happen to be in the industry.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Well, the connection thing is really important. I think connection with your team, with your kids, your spouse, your partner, whoever you work with. So what other ideas do you have on cultivate? Do you have it's natural for you, but what if somebody's not natural at this? What if they're an introvert? How would you recommend they cultivate this?
You know what? I think that you need to start small.
Because I'm an introvert, so I'm asking for this guy I know. This dude.
You always say that. I can't believe you say you're an introvert, but okay. I know. I don't think you really are. You know what? I think it's starting small, right? I think it's let's say if it's in your work and you're looking at referral partners, then you start by picking the person you're the most comfortable with. Right? The person you feel the most at ease with of anybody who's already sort of in your network. That doesn't mean the person who sends you the most business, the person that you're the most at ease at. And literally, I would start with something simple, like inviting that person to, and I don't always think it should be a lunch or something like that. I love the idea of inviting someone. For us, it's music events. So we love music. And we often will take, people in our business world to music events. You will always get people saying yes to go to a music event, right? A, they think it's awesome you invited them. B, you don't have to be super social because you're there to watch something. And then after the event, you kind of have an hour together. So I would start with something like that. I'm really encouraging my team, if they're looking at connecting with people, pick an interest or hobby that people generally like. And music is kind of one of them.
And yeah, connect that way. Okay. Who's your favorite band then, if you're a music fan?
Oh my gosh, I don't even have a favorite. I mean, well, I shouldn't say that. Okay, my favorite band of all times is Cheap Trick.
Yeah.
I Want You to Want Me, Surrender, right? There's just so many great songs. And last year we met Cheap Trick,
Oh, you
and
did.
I completely lost my mind, crazy, crying, like completely not cool at all. We get to do a private meet and greet and spend about 10 minutes with them. And okay, I have to tell you this story because this really smorgased. So I
What
started
did you
an
say?
Instagram
Smorges?
account
What?
about a year and a half ago. And I love Instagram. I think it's the new social media channel. I absolutely love it so much. So the Cheap Trick logo has checkers in it. And so I had my nails done with these checkers on them. And I snapped a photo of my nails and I put it on Instagram. And it was, it's on my business page, but it was like, hey, we're going to this great concert. I walk into this meet and greet with Cheap Trick, and the drummer for Cheap Trick is like, "You're the mortgage lady."
It's because of your Instagram.
Yes, so he saw the post and he was like, "You do mortgages? Tell me about this. This is so cool." And he's like, "I wish you lived in the States. I could send you all my like kids and their friends, and I'd send you all this business." And it was just like so awesome. And that was from Instagram.
That's awesome.
Isn't that great?
That is so good. So yeah, that's I don't really, for me, my wife uses Instagram all the time and she loves it, but I'm still like not, I don't know what I would take pictures of. Maybe it's just so how do you use it? What are you doing to that you find to use Instagram, I guess?
I think that it's probably the place that our younger clients, so let's say anybody who's kind of under 30, I think it's one of the places they go to vet us. So I'm a big believer that you probably won't get a client from social media. What will happen is a lead will come in from a referral source. And those people then want to snoop around. They want to check us out. And so they go on Instagram, they go on our Facebook page, they go up to our website, they might go to LinkedIn, depending on whatever their channel is. And so Instagram, I find, because there's lots of photos and there's lots of video content, it's one of the ways where we can really show who we are. And our younger clients, I would say, are using it more than Facebook. And the second thing is any realtors under 30, they're using Instagram as their channel. I really think they are. I really think there's very few younger realtors who are using Facebook anymore. And so I'm meeting lots and lots of industry partners or potential referral sources, to the point that I was at a conference about a year and a half ago, 200 people in this massive room, and I'm walking into this room, and there's this realtor that I've always wanted to meet because I know her from Instagram. She's really big on Instagram in Calgary. And we walk by each other, and I go, "Adventures in Real Estate," because that's her Instagram handle. And she goes, "Elevation Mortgage YYC." Oh my God, we finally get to meet, right? And then she lost her mind because we only knew each other from Instagram. We didn't even know each other's names.
Right. That's really good.
So great.
I agree with you. People are going to, if you get referred, they are going to Google you. They're going to look you up. And so what are they going to find when they look you up? And so having a positive social profile is good. So you said a word that I had, you said smorges. What did you say? It was so, what is that?
It was what, sorry?
You said, did you say it was so smorges, or what was the word you said about meeting with Cheap Trick? I thought there was a word that you dropped that I hadn't heard before.
No, it was just amazing.
Okay.
Like, it just blew my mind, right? It was just one of those like life altering moments.
I thought you used a word that I'd never heard of before, and I was like, okay, what is this new word that you are teaching me? But I must have just heard it wrong. So that was okay. So what's the fourth pillar?
So the fourth pillar is drive.
Okay.
So you know what? I think for when you're looking at mindset, it can't all be fluff, right? It can't all be just like love and happiness. There also has to be that mindset about achievement, ambition, drive. That has to be a part of it. And so when I look at drive, I think the thing we all need to ask ourselves is what are our drivers? So what is important to me is it's different than what's important to you or another agent out there. For some people, it's sheerly about income. For some people, it's number of files. For some people, it's about industry reputation. For some people, it's the freedom to have a lifestyle that's not 9 to 5. For some people, they want to be part-time and stay-at-home mom or dad. Some people want to travel. And so I think there's too many people who just don't know what their driver is. If you don't know what your driver is, or why any of us would do what we do, because this is not easy. This is a tough job. It's a tough industry. What's your driver? And when you know what your driver is, I think it's a lot easier to kind of go on that path to figure out how you're going to achieve.
I like that. Somebody once said to me, what's your why power? So what's the why that fuels you or drives you? And I think that's a really good,
right.
If you don't know, because we can go out and do something, even build a successful business and look back and be miserable and be like, I don't even know why I'm doing this. And so you do have to stop, pause, and is this what I want to do? Right. I think that I know that I've gotten in times forgotten about that completely. So Justin, what time is it right now, buddy?
It's 11:17.
Okay, so do we have anybody following this online? If you have any questions for Julie or for us, please post them in there, and we'll send you a mug. So we're going to bribe you. If you want a mug, you got to send us a question, and we'll tackle it. So, any other thoughts, Julie, on how to cultivate a mindset that obviously that'll help you in your business and your life?
I think the number one thing for me, and it works for me, is I can't do it alone. So I'm super engaged in our industry. I'm on the AMBA board of directors. I am involved in every industry event I can go to. I'm very much engaged with our lender partners and my team in the real estate industry in Calgary, and just to being super engaged. And I'm in this awesome mortgage mastermind. There's 8 of us now who are all broker owners or team leads, and we're meeting every quarter this year. And I just think whether it's just getting together with a team member or going to any team event or going to any industry event, I really do think that being as engaged as you can be in the industry is the way. If you're feeling a struggle, like you're feeling that balance issue or gratitude or connection, or you're not sure what your driver is, the best people to help you figure that out are the other people in our industry.
I think this sounds like the beginnings of a book, Julie, that you've got here. I love that you had these 4. I'm sure that if you spend some time on this, you could come up with examples and stories and, how to cultivate these different, the balance, the gratitude, connection, and drive. I haven't heard it expressed this way before. So I think it's awesome. So we got any questions, Justin?
Yeah.
No questions, but Gord Ross says his word of the day is now smorges.
Smorges. I know. That's what I thought you said, but I'm going to go back and listen to the recording because we invented a word in the middle of this show that I'm like, did you say smorges? I'm like, what is smorges? Is that like smart and gorgeous at the same time or what? So
I kind of like that. Thank you, Gord Ross.
Yeah.
Speaking of awesome industry people.
Yeah, he's very smorges, man.
He is smorges. That's absolutely true.
Okay, awesome. Well, hey, I really appreciate, Julie, your coming on here and sharing your enthusiasm and energy. And if you listen to this and you're not like fired up a little bit, then we need to check your pulse, because I've always loved communicating with you, because it's just, you get me fired up. I'm like, I don't know, I'm going to go do something. I don't know what, but I'm going to go do something. I'm just like, I can't wait to get out of here and go do something positive. So, and thank you for always being a voice of positive, in our group when things I see you do that all the time. And I just want you to know I appreciate that, because it's like, I see you do that and it's like all of a sudden it changes the whole mood. You're like that, like it's kind of changes the mood of that party. When somebody comes in, you're like, oh, okay, you're right. There is other ways to look at this. So thank you for doing that for, as often as you do. And and I'm
You're
sure
welcome.
I'll see you at one of these events one of these days, I'm sure.
That's right. Thanks for the chat. Have a good one.
Okay. Thanks, Julie.
Bye.